While England waited for an heir to the throne, the teenage Anne had crossed the Channel and was embracing all that Europe had to offer. After some time in the Netherlands, her father found her a role in the French court, which would become a defining influence in her life.
Little is known of Anne's 9 years on the continent, and yet much is always made of it. It certainly was a formative period of her life. It was the period when she was educated. And people in the 16th century and today have speculated in a kind of prurient nudge, nudge, wink, wink kind of way that at the French court particularly, she learned the art of love.
I want to see for myself how Anne's time in France shaped her character. I'm travelling to the Château de Blois, one of the palaces where the French king, Francis I, held his court. I can only imagine what the young Anne must have felt when she first arrived here.
I've never been here before, and it's really exciting.
Anne would be a lady-in-waiting to the cultured and pious French queen, Claude.
They didn't do things by halves, did they? Look at this place. My word.
It was the most fashionable court in Europe, reflected in its spectacular architecture.
This is an extraordinary sort of Renaissance style. You've got the little classical statues up the top here and all these columns and this amazing spiral staircase. It's so incredibly beautiful, this staircase. It would have been such an extraordinary time for Anne when she was here, because she was here with Claude of France, who herself was a real patron of the arts. Francis I, her husband, was so much a fan of the Renaissance that he invited Leonardo da Vinci to France, and he was installed just down the road. There's every chance that Anne might have met him. So basically, Anne would have been surrounded by this world of intellectual endeavour and artistic endeavour. It must have been such an exciting place to be. I'm out of breath now.
Anne came of age in France. One observer later wrote that no one would ever have taken her to be English by her manners, but a native-born Frenchwoman.
Wow. What might Anne have learnt at this court?
The first thing, of course, is French, because French was a very important language at that time. It was something like the English today in the northern courts of Europe. We just know that she must have been at some very important events, such as when the English ambassadors came to France in 1518, or at the Field of the Cloth of Gold, because she must there have played an important role as an interpreter between the English and the French. She received a European education, and she was really different from the young ladies who just stayed in England.
Anne also saw firsthand what was required to fulfill the essential role of a queen. Her mistress Claude gave birth to 7 children in 8 years, including 3 sons, something Henry and Catherine could only dream of. Claude was also extremely pious, so it's unlikely that her court was a hotbed of promiscuity.
Cedric, one of the things that's often said about Anne's time in France, with probably little evidence from what you've said so far, is that there's kind of this idea that somehow she's learned all about sex while she's been at the court. Do you think this is at all plausible?
Yeah, my opinion would be that it's not true, but it may be true. We don't know. We have no evidence. I don't think there was a clear difference at that time between the court of Francis I and the court of Henry VIII.
Our first surviving letter from Anne was written to her father and shows her aspirations to be accepted in the English court.
Sir, I understand by your letter that you wish that I shall be of all virtuous repute when I come to court. And you inform me that the Queen will take the trouble to converse with me, which rejoices me greatly. To think of talking with a person so wise and virtuous. Written at 5 o'clock by your very humble and obedient daughter, Anna de Boleyn.
We tend to think about Anne Boleyn in black and white terms. So she's either a sexual predator or she's sexually chaste. She's either pious or she's worldly. She's either innocent or sophisticated. And yet, actually, what I've learned here is that her French education, her time at the French court, was such that it prepared her to be a much more complex character than that.
Her 9 years on the continent transformed her from a teenage girl into an extremely desirable woman.